In the 1700s, local landowner Henry Senhouse set about creating a new town and harbour, which he named Maryport after his wife. Maryport vies with neighbouring Whitehaven in its claim to be the first English town to be planned and laid out in the grid pattern, which was to be adopted by cities in America. Maryport was for a while an important shipbuilding centre, although because the river was so narrow, ships built in the yards on the banks of the river had to be launched sideways. This was not without its dangers, as the crowds watching and cheering on the opposite bank were regularly knocked off their feet by the massive resultant wave. The town was built on the site of a large Roman garrison at the southern end of a line of fortifications called Milefortlets, which ran from the western end of Hadrian's Wall near Carlisle down the coast of the Solway Firth. The road down this exposed coast provides wonderful views across the water to Scotland. Just north of Cross Canby on this road, you can see Milefortlet 21, the first of these fortifications to have been fully excavated. Nearby are also the remains of salt pans, evidence of a local salt-making tradition that stretches back hundreds of years. The land between the sandy Solway Firth beaches and the northern Lake District fells has been productive farmland since it was settled by the Vikings after the departure of the Romans. A few miles south, Cockermouth owed its development as an important administrative and trading centre to the fact that it offered a safe crossing at the junction of the rivers Cocker and Derwent. These rivers between them, however, drain the four main northwest lakes, and when in 2009 a month's worth of rain fell in just 2 days, these lakes filled to bursting point. Downstream, the rivers burst their banks and flooded the centre of Cockermouth to depths of over 8 feet. The town is a well-preserved example of the medieval burgage layout, whereby each house on the main street had a long narrow rear plot on which tenants grew their crops. Gradually these plots were divided up and built on, and you can still explore the warren of narrow alleyways needed to access these new houses. Cockermouth was a favourite watering hole for sailors from Maryport, and this strong maritime connection may have influenced Fletcher Christian, who was born and educated in the town, to choose a life at sea. In 1787, Christian was engaged as first mate on a voyage to Tahiti. The ship was the Bounty, and the captain's name was Bligh, and what followed was the most famous mutiny in maritime history. The fate of Fletcher Christian is something of a mystery. Despite reports that he was killed in fighting in the early years on Pitcairn Island, persistent rumours place him back in England, one reported sighting being as a crew member at a society regatta on Lake Windermere.